Today you're going to be shading your simple charcoal drawing, the drawing that we did in class together using the cube, the cone, the bottle, and the sphere. If you have these sitting in front of you and you're doing makeup work in class, put them in front of you arranged in this arrangement. If you're working from home, you're going to follow how I shade mine and go using that since you don't have your actual source. So you should have your folded piece of paper with your drawing on it. We're going to open that up. We're going to find the rough side of our paper. So one side is smooth, one side is rough. We're going to put this rough side up. You have transfer paper. One side has a chalky dust on it, one side does not. You're going to put chalky dust side down facing the paper and then close this. You're then going to trace over your drawing, and you're holding this closed because we don't have it taped down, so we don't want any movement occurring inside or paper sliding around, and you're going to trace over this drawing. And this is going to transfer the drawing to your charcoal paper in like a white chalky dust. Now, what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to take a look and make sure I traced everything. I have a feeling that I've missed something. But I'm going to hold here so nothing moves, and I'm going to flip this up, and I'm going to take a look. Okay, I've got most things. I missed the bottom of my cube here, and otherwise I have everything. So I'm just going to flip down. I'll do the bottom of my cube. I'm going to check one more time. Yep, everything else is there. And then I'm going to take this out. So we're going to be establishing that light is striking our objects from here. So this is going to be our light source. You don't need to do this, but this will be our reminder that our light source is coming in from here. I'm going to start with vine charcoal. Very gently, I'm going to establish a base gray on the cone. So light pressure, smoothing with a Q-tip. You could use a blending stub. I like to use the blending stub for when I'm going to do something that's darker typically. Okay, now if light is striking our cube, or I'm sorry, our cone on one side, we're going to light it up with a little bit of white pencil, and then on the back side we're going to use our charcoal pencil and just give it lightly to cover that. We don't want a white line going around it. We're going to go from dark and then fade. Then I'm going to come on here and smooth with my blending stub to smooth, and I'm going to put it on its side. I don't want to lose all my white, but I don't want it to be pure white, so I'm going to blend that to smooth as well. Now, if light is striking our cube, the top of our cube will be lightest, and our paper is already sort of a medium gray. I'm going to lightly shade on top of here with white to lighten it just a little. And when I smooth, it'll still become a light gray, but I want that to be the lightest side of my cube. The next lightest side is going to be this side. I'm going to go in here with my vine charcoal, and I'm going to do this side of our cube, gently mixing, and if it's not even, I can go back over it, but I'm pushing this into the grid of the paper. And then on this side, it's going to be a little darker. I'm probably going to do this, but very, very light. And I'm going to level across this way. And then I'm going to smooth this. I can still see where my dots are. it holds into the paper, and I'm going to smooth to make this the darkest side of my cube. So light, medium, dark. Then I'm going to go in and I'm going to make my dots on my dice. They're going to be black, so I'm going to go in with my pencil, trace over that line, and fill. And then I'm going to blend with this on this side. This, 2, 3. Okay, and then I'm going to smooth those. Okay, now the cube, when it sits on the ground, will have a dark line right here as it overhangs onto the tabletop, and it will also have a cast shadow, and I'm going to use the blending stub to pull an angled cast shadow from our cube. You don't want to lose that dark line. That's the overhang line. Okay, we do this in our warm-ups all the time. So we're also going to pull a cast shadow from the cone. And the cone will also have a dark line here where it is sitting on the top. This is like the overhang as well. And then we're going to do a cast shadow. It'll come off the edge of the cube here. Okay. For the sphere, my sphere was like I think it was a reddish or greenish color. So I'm going to go in first, put down some vine charcoal, and in here, my dot here was white. If you didn't have that, if yours was like a cue ball or solid white, you can go in and make the entire sphere white. I would do medium pressure if you're doing that. If you're following me, just follow what I'm doing. So vine charcoal to make this a medium gray, and then I'm going to work to make this look round, darker on this edge, so here, darker on this bottom, and then it will fade coming up here. So I'm lightening the pressure, it's fading as it comes to the top. I'm going to use my blending stub to smooth. And if it gets too dark, I can always work backward and add a little bit of white. So I would like it to be a little bit lighter as it fades down. And it will have a cast shadow. Still going to come out at this angle, and it should be like a loop. Darkest part of our shadow is right underneath. So coming out from right underneath. It's like an overhang shadow under the sphere. The sphere is also going to cast a little bit of a shadow edge on the cube. So we're going to do a little bit of value on the edge of the cube here where it's sitting behind. Okay. Now let's do and I'm going to put the number in there. Alright, so last is our bottle. Now, our bottle sat behind, so it's dark blue, and it sat behind our cube. So I'm going to go in with dark around here, and I'm even going to go around the sphere as well. Sitting behind, I'm going to go dark here and then gradually fade. I'm going to come up this back edge, which is the edge away from my light source. So I'm going to be doing this with a dark line here. I can do with my charcoal pencil, and here. On this side, I'm going to do a little bit lighter pressure, and here. Is the lip. I'm going to shade this in just around the edge lightly. Okay, now in the bottle, I'm going to go light pressure initially, and I'm going to make it smooth to a medium to darker gray. So I'm going to get in here with my blending stub and get this smoothed out. And then I've got to really start to look how the light is striking this bottle and affecting my objects. Okay, so, and I don't want to lose the top of my cube right there. For the bottle, I'm going to start with the areas that are shaded. So we also have sort of like a curve that sits here where the bottle is coming out, where it's bumping out. Under here, darker here, fading. A little bit darker here to show it's rounded and going to the back, fading as it comes forward. We can sort of follow that on this side too. That's sort of just a basic idea about what's happening, but we'll be looking at the light in just a minute to know if we have to modify that at all. Right here, as it goes down into the bottle, darkest on this edge and then fading as it comes up out of the bottle. These things can be blended to smooth as well. Then we're going to start looking to where we see hints of light. So where I'm sitting, I see some light here, and even a little light that's lighting up here. This is like a reflected light off of my bottle. I see an edge here. I actually see reflected light here. This is going to be a little bit lighter here because this edge is catching light, sticking out, and then it tapers into this neck. It's a little bit lighter at the front of the neck. Right under the lip, though, right here, is really dark because it has an overhang underneath. So I'm going to make sure this is dark. It's also catching a little bit of light over on this side. That's what I'm seeing from where I'm sitting. Now, we also want to give this thing a ground line back here. I'm going to do this with my charcoal pencil first, and then I'm going to fade to light, so darkest back there, fading as I come down. Here, same thing, trying to control that I don't go on top of any of my drawing. And here, darkest at the back, and then fading as I come down. So here, dark back here, and then fading as I come down. And I'm going to blend that, so with my blending stub, dark at the back, fading as it comes down. And we'll let it keep pulling down and fade to light. Okay, here, darkest at the back, fading. The same thing here. We want to try to make it match. So once I do the third, this side, I'll go and take a look to make sure it's pretty much of a match. So dark, and then fading to light. And that is basically it for what I need you to do. We're practicing mixing to make values. We're looking for light on surfaces. We're not doing a big heavy black outline around everything because nothing here is black and has a black outline. So we're keeping things to like shades of gray. I'm going to just exaggerate this a little bit. It's getting lost on that back edge. And then we'll put our initials on it. You'll sign it here. And take a photo and submit.